is Tara Townsend. I'm the head of business development for Rarebits, a digital collectibles minting engine and auction platform where people can buy and sell blockchain-based digital collectibles, also known as non-fungible tokens or NFTs. I am incredibly excited to talk to you guys today about brands and the blockchain and licensing for NFTs. Personally, I love brands. As a child of the 80s, I was obsessed with My Little Pony and Rainbow Bright and Gem and the Holograms, and I adored the TV shows and all the colorful, kitschy paraphernalia associated with them. And little did my parents know then that their investment in rainbow leg warmers and acrylic jewelry would give me a bright future at the intersection of brands, licensing, and entertainment. So I'm excited to talk to you today about brands. So first, what is a brand? A brand is more than a company signature product, a logo, a word mark, or a mascot. It's all of those things combined because together, brands activate emotions deep within the human psyche, and they immediately convey things like power, prestige, luxury, style, authenticity, trust. And so brands, which could be anything from a designer fashion label to a celebrity to an entertainment property, they can be used as mechanisms to get mass market consumers to adopt new products or technologies. And where we see this in the mobile digital space most often is in the form of brand licensing in games. So here's some examples. Back in December of 2011, a game developer by the name of Glue Mobile launched a title called Stardom A-List, where you could take your character from rags to riches in a glitzy paparazzi-filled setting. But the game didn't do much. So the developers used the same underlying mechanics and launched an even more glamorous sequel 2 years later, Stardom Hollywood, but again, didn't find much traction. Then Glue decided to license a brand. And 1 year later, the Glue gods delivered Kim Kardashian Hollywood. So, using the same exact mechanics and essentially having the same exact game as the predecessor by sprinkling the star power of Kim Kardashian on top, Glue finally had a hit on its hands. Likewise, a really innovative game by the name of Ingress was launched in late 2013 by developer Niantic, a company spun out from Google Maps. The game uses augmented reality and user-generated data to overlay in-game elements on top of real-world locations. A super cool concept for sure. It was wildly popular within niche tech circles, and it won a handful of awards, but it was far from a household name. Then Niantic did a deal with Nintendo for one of the world's most popular brands, and 3 years later launched Pokemon Go, shattering every single App Store record in the process. By layering a brand on top of the existing technology and the rich crowdsourced data gathered from Ingress, Niantic was able to deliver mass appeal to the tune of 800 million downloads and $3 billion in revenue. That's $3 billion real dollars spent in the pursuit of capturing virtual Pokemon on your phone. And our collective appetite for digital goods and branded digital goods just continues to grow. In 2018, it was estimated that users spent $92 billion on apps and mobile goods. So when we talk about non-fungible tokens and we sit here today and talk about new, it's not just a new concept. This is just the evolution of digital goods as the market matures and as technology paves the way for some foundational improvements. And the blockchain provides some seriously improved infrastructure. By building, sorry, I wish it showed the next slide. So it's really amazing that we can spend all of this money on digital goods, but it's super hard to convey how awesome blockchain is to the average consumer, which is why it helps to have a language to convey that message, which is why brands come in. I believe that brands will be critical in the success of blockchain-based digital goods because we will need to harness the power of brands, leveraging their appeal, authenticity, and trust in order to get users to cross the chasm, as we just heard about, so that we can get mass blockchain digital goods adoption. So, why is this important? Because ownership of off-chain digital goods is an illusion. That $92 billion that was spent on goods and items that we don't own, as we all know. So if a developer has either private data on their private servers, if they nerf your character or remove your favorite world or shut down your game, there's nothing you can do to take those items outside of that closed system and bring them with you. We are all spending serious time and money amassing a treasure trove of digital goods, but the developers are the only ones with the key. So how does the blockchain change all that? Well, blockchain-based digital goods are real property. Imagine I go to the concert of my favorite artist, and after an amazing show, I decide to buy a t-shirt to commemorate the occasion, and not from outside the venue, from the guy selling bacon-wrapped hot dogs and $10 knockoffs. I decide to pay good money to buy an authentic piece of licensed merchandise from within that arena. So I take that t-shirt home with me, and it's mine. I can wear it, I can keep it in my closet, I can frame it on the wall, I can give it to a friend, or I could sell it on eBay to someone who maybe wasn't able to score a ticket. But the point is, it's my property. Similarly, my NFTs are my property. And that's because, as we know from being here today, blockchain enables true ownership of digital goods. Just like my t-shirt, my NFTs are authentic, scarce, and resellable. Now, for the first time ever, we hold the keys to our own digital treasure trove. But unlike that t-shirt, my NFTs are also transparent of known origin and showcase a complete ownership history. I might own the t-shirt, but I certainly don't know who knitted the cotton, who sewed the t-shirt together, or who screen printed the logo on top. But imagine if all of that was available on the tag. Now, finally, with NFTs, all of that information and all of that rich metadata is permanently associated with each token and transparent for all to see. It's pretty amazing. So to recap, here's what we know. 1, people love brands, they love branded digital goods. 2, non-blockchain-based digital goods aren't really yours, which we've learned a lot about today. And 3, the blockchain is really rad, especially for digital goods. So the next part of the talk is how we connect the dots and get brands directly onto the blockchain. So in order to do a licensing deal, we can get some tips and tricks on how to do a non-blockchain-based licensing deal first. First, there's an upfront minimum guarantee that we're going to need to pay the license holder in order to get permission to use their brand in our game, app, or experience. Next, we're going to pay some royalties such that when we make money, we share a little bit of that money back with the license holder. And typically, you're not paying out fresh cash on royalties until that upfront minimum guarantee is already paid for, meaning no fresh cash until royalties owed surpass the upfront. Lastly, we need to determine the term of the agreement. So how long is the deal or integration? Maybe it's a year. Maybe it's short, only a month. I've done deals that are as short as a week. Or perhaps you're doing some significant development and or maybe you're building a single branded experience. So maybe you want 3 years. Or perhaps you're really smart and you write a deal that's 3 years plus a 3-year automatic renewal if you hit some performance milestones. But the main thing to keep in mind is that these deals all have an end date. They're all finite. So what do we do when, on the blockchain, these goods live forever? Forever is a really, really long time to try and bake into a licensing agreement, and I'm not sure any licensor would agree to that. So how do we solve for that? How do we get the brands on the blockchain knowing that we can't do deals forever? So here are some tips and tricks. For a blockchain-based licensing deal, one of the things that I really like to do is I like to create a minting term. Minting is the process of tokenizing or creating these digital goods on the blockchain. And by focusing on that one aspect of creation, we can start to put bookends around the deal. So we could limit the minting term to a certain time frame. Say we will mint tokens on demand now through April 20th. Or perhaps we can limit it to a certain quantity, maybe 100 tokens. So after the deal expires, though, the question remains, if we're printing tokens up front, then what happens if we have excess tokens when the deal expires? Here's where I like to include an inventory sell-off clause. This will allow me to keep any existing inventory up and remaining for sale until they make it into the hands of the end users. Okay, now that we have all of our tokens in the hand of end users, we need to be conscious of one more thing, secondary sales. That was never before possible in the old world of digital goods. So now the users that you sold your token to can sell them to other users who can sell them to other users who can sell them to other users. Just like my shirt, when I decide that I want to Marie Kondo my closet and my t-shirt no longer brings me joy because it's all old and faded, I can thank it for its service, I can put it up on Poshmark, and somebody else who's really into like vintage Taylor Swift concert merch will be super psyched to have that shirt. Same thing with NFTs, except that your digital merch doesn't get old or faded. So the punchline for licensors here, because they have items that live on in perpetuity and the access to secondary sales, is licensors for the first time ever can earn royalties in perpetuity. This is really powerful because with the combination of the secondary sales and the ability to take a percentage of that, licensors get access to a secondary market that was never before possible. And I am not going to be sitting here with a spreadsheet sending out royalty checks forever. That's the magic of the Ethereum blockchain. Smart contracts allow us to easily manage royalties in perpetuity and automatically distribute payments to all parties instantly. Thank you, Vitalik Buterin. I don't need to do anything at all. It's amazing. So blockchain is a huge win for licensors who get access to secondary sales and royalties in perpetuity, and users who now get to experience the freedom and agency of true ownership. Which brings me to my final statement, which is I believe that brands on the blockchain will introduce and usher in a wonderful new era of digital goods ownership. Thank you.